Qool Hand Podcast, something you got to deal with. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host. My name is Q. We got another guest in the building, and just a brief history. I think we first met in person at the Castier pop-up shop, November 2022, and we've been in communication since then. But you see, from November to now, it's over a year. Finally, we're able to lock in for an episode. So, guest, please introduce yourself. Let them know who you are.
What's good, everybody? It's SJ, or if you follow me on Instagram, you know me as Yo Soy Boricua. Bro, it's an honor for me to be here, man. Since, like you said, since Castier, we kicked it off pretty cool. Big fan of your podcast and what you do, bro. And it's, like I said, it's an honor to be here right now.
Appreciate it. If you follow this man on Instagram, one thing that you'll notice is he stays with some clean kicks, Orlando Magic,
For sure.
and I want to say Latin hip hop.
Right.
But so I met you down in Atlanta, but you're not originally from Atlanta. So where are you from? Where do you live? Tell us about that a little bit while we get to know you.
Yeah. Well, you met me down there, so I live at about 3-4 hour drive. I live in Charlotte. Originally, I'm from Puerto Rico, born and raised in Rio Piedras, that's near the capital, San Juan. And I lived there till I was 10. I lived a little bit in after that I came to the States, I moved to Orlando. And I was in Orlando probably about 5 years. I moved out here to Charlotte. Like recent years, I've been, there back and forth, short times, been back to Orlando, back here. But, I've been here basically in Charlotte since like '08. So it's really where I do everything now. You might see me everywhere on my posts and stuff, but you're just chilling here, man.
Yeah. You're all over the place, but like when I look at your Instagram, and of course, like Instagram doesn't tell the whole story, but
Right.
when it comes to what do they call it, aesthetics and things like that, the pictures that you take, they're very high quality. They're very it looks like there's a lot of thought that's put into them, and we'll get into that too as well. But what was life like? I think you're probably the only person I know who was born in Puerto Rico. So what was life like growing up there?
Honestly, man, it's a beautiful island. I don't know if you ever been, but definitely a lot of nature stuff to do. Definitely the beaches. It's always I feel like my pictures and my personality reflects Puerto Rico in a sense. I'm always colorful. I feel Puerto Rico is really vibrant, colorful. Happy place. That's I feel like because of that, that's why I reflect. But yeah, man, that's a really really humbling time. Every time I go back, I just whenever I forget, whenever I forget or I'm too caught up in life. I like going back, and it just reminds me of simpler times. Um, yeah, so I was there till a young age, 10, and then I moved. We moved to the States, for the American dream and stuff. I was in Orlando. You go to Orlando, it's basically PR 2.0. A lot of Puerto Ricans out there, a lot of Caribbean people. Then once I got to North Carolina and stuff like that, that's feel a lot different. That North Carolina was honestly probably the hardest transition for me because I feel like the farther I moved up, I was like kept getting away from my family and stuff, and the culture here is so different compared to like the warm and the culture and stuff of Puerto Rico and Florida. So it was something getting used to, but it's what I call home now.
Yeah, for sure. Let me ask you this though, just to spend a little bit more time on your transition from Puerto Rico and then coming to Orlando. Was there any like challenges? And I know you were young, like 10 years old, and your family comes here, but what were some of the challenges or biggest changes that you felt like you had to deal with, coming from a warm place like Puerto Rico, as you mentioned, to Orlando, and then just getting acclimated there?
The main thing for me was when you're young, you don't really see the reality of things until you actually get there. But the hardest transition for me was probably just being far from my family. We're like from like my close family. We were like the first ones to move, to the states. Especially like Orlando. So like when I left there, even as like as a kid, it was really hard for me. I got really depressed, and not being near them and my friends. It was really hard, but at the same time, it was kind of easy too because once you move to Orlando, it's kind of like a tourist trap down there. So my parents, did a good job trying to keep me distracted and stuff, and try to find me some good association and stuff. Definitely the cold. I never experienced the cold until I moved to Florida. Florida's not even that cold really, maybe for like a couple of weeks or whatever. Another hard thing was for me too is like when you're in Puerto Rico, Puerto Ricans are not just one color like me. There's Puerto Ricans like you that look like you. Even my family, we don't look, we're not the same color stuff. So like, moving to Florida at the time, um, especially like that Kissimmee, Orlando area that was in, I saw like a lot of racism at a young age. So it was just so weird to me seeing like, seeing people sitting down in the cafeterias and stuff like. You got the the Hispanics over here. You got the black people over here. The white people somewhere else, and it was really weird to me seeing that. So there's a few transitions that I had to do once I got to the states.
Yeah, that's crazy. I gotta imagine like the culture shock. Like, all right, you got Puerto Ricans as darker than me or whatever, all different shades. Then you come over and sit at the lunch table, and it's like it's it's segregated, like a prison
Right.
jail cell or a prison yard or something.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah, that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, like the unfortunate reality of living in the States and all that. But okay, and what are some of your favorite memories from Puerto Rico?
Um. Man. I feel like I would just get up and if I wasn't in school, I would just get up and you know everything's so close. I usually just walk to my you know to my friend. He was my neighbor. Walk to my grandparents' house and just going to the beach and just enjoying the life out there and stuff like that. It's just you know it's not as like you're not too worried out there about um like how you're gonna feed like feed your family and stuff like that. Which that wasn't really like I was a kid, so I don't really had to worry about that to begin with. Just like simpler. I always when I go to Puerto Rico and stuff, even now, like it just feels like simpler. Everything's just more simple. Everything's more calmed down. So you come to the states and stuff like that. Especially you go to like big cities and stuff out here. It's like everything is like you're in a rush for everything. Like it just feels so much slowed down there.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you there. Yeah, I got you. So, the transition. You're now living in Charlotte.
Right.
Um, and in just the transition from Orlando to Charlotte, were your eyes opened even more, or were you pretty much used to the quote unquote American dream after being in Orlando?
Um. Yeah. It was hard too. Well, like I said, Charlotte's probably harder because it's like okay, I already moved to Florida. I already got like out of that stage like oh my family like I already had to set my family's already out there in PR and stuff, and now I'm making friends and and like friends that I could call family down there, and then having to move again, it was pretty tough for me too. And then like coming out here is just like at least at the time like when I first moved here it was but now that I'm older I understand why my dad did it, but it's just like that it's not as much to do out here as like I would say Orlando. It's like a kid and having to start over again and and make new friends and stuff like that. That was really tough.
Yeah. Now, how old were you when you guys moved to Charlotte?
Uh, so I was 10 when I moved to Orlando. So I'd probably say I was like around like 14, 15 when I moved to Charlotte.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a bad age. That's a
Yeah.
bad age to to move.
Right.
Of course, like you said, you understand why your parents decided to move there, but I think I
Yeah.
can kind of relate. I live in Pittsburgh again now, but when
Mm-hmm.
I was 13, 14, we moved down to Georgia. So like
Gotcha.
you got your friends established and all that, and then like
Right.
starting over it's tough. So that's a rough age. But all right, at what point? Now I see you got the essentials hoodie on. If you follow this man on Instagram, he knows how to, as they say, put that stuff on, right? So at what point did you always have like a fashion sense or have like a love for streetwear or certain brands or whatever? How did you get into fashion?
So, like I said, probably if I would have stayed in PR and stuff, maybe I would have gotten to it. But I think it's once I got to like, you know, Charlotte and stuff. Once I got to my teen years, even then, like in high school and stuff, I didn't really, I didn't really get into fashion. I was always a sneakerhead, like, and that's probably was when I moved out here to Charlotte. That's probably my, I guess I would say my when it became my hobby, my escape. So I was always like a sneakerhead first. Like even now, like I don't consider myself like the highest like fashion person and stuff. I just like I like something, I buy. I don't care what brand it is and stuff like that. But the fit always starts with the sneakers. Like you know, I can't think like it's like okay, if I'm gonna get the sneaker, then I could put all this. I don't never start off with like oh if I get this like what sneaker I'm gonna put like it just doesn't make sense to me. So um, but yeah, and once I started like traveling and stuff too, it's just like I don't know. I feel like it's a good thing and a bad thing, but like every time I go on like a trip or I want to go do something, I like overthink everything. I was like, okay, like if I'm going like say I'm going to New York, Florida, stuff like that. What vibes I want to like show off when I'm out there? Like what shoes I want to wear. And it's just like would this fit? I guess makes sense. Like I know a lot of people don't think like that. It's like would this fit make sense with like what I'm doing out here is
Yeah.
my mindset. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's now. What age? Because when you're young, you don't got the bread.
Mhm.
Your parents are buying your clothes. Your parents are buying your shoes. Like it's like okay, if they can afford these shoes, they'll get them. Woo, 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 all that. So, what was the first pair of like fire sneakers that you remember getting?
So, um, like even when I start, I probably say like late middle school, like high school is when I really got started into kicks. But like you said, uh, like especially Hispanic parents and stuff like, and at that time too, I was back in high school and stuff like around probably started high school like '09 and stuff. So it's like at that time, sneakerheads weren't even really a thing like that. So it's like them buying me more than like two or three pairs a year for the school year, like they make sense. So it really started first for me like Air Force One. Air Force One, I always love like Air Force Ones. And I just remember like when I started getting into those, um, at the time with the whole Nelly and all that stuff, like everybody wanted the all whites and stuff like that. And I started going to I don't know if you guys got the store up there, but it's called DTLR.
Yeah.
My mom would take me to DTLR every time I go show her like, oh, I want some all whites. I was like, it makes sense, now that I think about it. But she would take me. It's like, wait, they got the all white ones here, but they're like $80-$90 whatever. When we come over here and get the forces and but it was like different color blockings and stuff. I think that like I think till this day I never really owned a pair like all whites. Especially at that time, like I would get like it'd be like white with the I had the olive joints. I had like basically I had every color. It was like the two tones or whatever.
Hmm.
So because those were always like on special. Like back then sneakers like they were released, but then you wait like a couple more months or whatever, they'll drop to like half a price. Whatever. It's like she's like, instead of buying you, just one, I could buy you two. So I started like collecting them like that. Started getting like two here.
Gotcha.
Um, but then when I really wanted to get into sneakers, and I was like, I want more than three. You know, uh, like 3 years or whatever. Like how many she could get me. Um, I got the idea. This was probably in high school. Probably was like a sophomore. But I started selling candy. Uh,
Oh, you's a
I,
hustler too.
yeah,
Okay.
right, and it got crazy, man. Cause I got really good with. We would go to first was out with Walmart. I was like, man, if I could get like more bundles and stuff. Um, so at the time we would go to I would start off at Walmart, but then I started transitioning to Party City. I'll get
Hmm.
like the big bundles of candy, and I'll have my book bag, and then I'll have my little, I only remember back in the day was like the sack book bags, the ones that you like tied up with the rope.
Yeah.
So I had a bunch of candy there. Like every class, like people would just start, coming to me and stuff. I'll buy those bags for like $2, $3 at a time. Probably like in a week, bring like 100, like 100, 150, a week.
Wow.
So whenever a new Jordan would come out, stuff like that, like I will have it. Um, but yeah, man, it was going really good for me. Until it's pretty funny because I guess I wasn't the only one selling candy, but like the principals and stuff like started noticing, and it was me, probably some other kids, but we were just like selling so much candy and stuff like that. Um people, I guess, when they weren't buying like the chips and stuff from the cafeteria, so I guess they noticed that and they're like, oh, if we catch you selling candy, whatever, we're gonna suspend you. So it's like, oh snap, I gotta be more like discreet about this.
Yeah.
But I just think in the bathroom, like, somebody was like, hey, you got candy? It's like, yeah, meet me in the bathroom. So I meet in the bathroom, like looking around, that I felt like I was hustling out in my high school, but
Oh man.
so like, yeah, I was just not trying to get suspended, but yeah, that little gig, making some money and stuff till I got into college, started working and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, that's basically how it started for me.
That's what's up. I didn't know nothing about that. That's pretty cool. It's funny too. Like I guess you got so big, you started stepping on the school's toes, and they had to
Right.
try to shut
It's all
that down.
politics, man. All politics.
Right, right. All right. So, let me ask you this, because when you start getting your own bread, when you like, it's a different feeling when you're able to buy something for yourself.
Right.
What was the first pair of sneakers you bought for yourself with your own money, if you can remember?
Um, let's see. With my own money, I probably say it was a Jordan. Cause back that too, like I wasn't really worried about the hype. I was just like, if I liked them, it was a good deal. So back then, I think I also went to DTLR and like you said, Jordan ones weren't as like popular as they are now. So like I will walk in there. I think it was some 2009 Shadow, yeah, the Jordan One Shadows
Yeah.
with the, but they made them different. Like the leather was really nice, but it had suede on them too. Um,
Okay.
I think those were the ones like probably one of the first ones like I bought with my own money and stuff like that. Because also in the summers I'll go work with my dad too. Before I was old enough to actually get a job somewhere, like I'll go with help him with his handyman stuff and all that. So yeah, it was probably one of those.
Hmm.
Or like or maybe the Jordan One metallic, the metallic reds that came out that same year.
Got you. So when it comes to shoes too, just a little bit more on the shoes, and we'll get to the clothes, and then we're gonna transition into something else
All
through
right.
there. But with the shoes, now what are your go-to brands for sneakers? What do you prefer?
Um, Honestly, man, I'm not like tied into one brand like that. But if
Hmm.
if you ever ask me if like I only had to choose like one brand, I'll probably say Jordan because that's what my dad grew me up as. I just Jordan the sneakers, but my dad is a huge Jordan head.
A
You know,
word.
I kind of grew up I grew up with him. Like to this day, he always sending me like TikToks and stuff about like, oh, this what Jordan did. Like LeBron can't do this and something. No, but yeah, definitely Jordans. Like Nikes. Growing up, like even if we didn't have that much, like it's like okay, let's at least go to to Nike, like Nike factory and stuff. Like try to get you something. My parents were always about like you know we can't get you this money, or we can't get you like the most expensive phone, but let's at least get you like one pair of Nikes and stuff. That's like, always taught me like that, quality over quantity type thing
Hmm.
for sure.
All right. So thank you for sharing that. And now you said you're not the biggest fashion person, but I would say you have like a streetwear style. Like, would you
Yeah.
agree with that, or would you describe your style as something else?
No, I agree with that. When I say like I'm not the biggest, like I guess my focus when I say I'm not the biggest like fashion guy, I'm not here like looking for like oh I need the new Louis or whatever. Like I'm
Hmm.
not I'm pretty uh I like being affordable. What I wear at the same time. Because at the end of the day, we got bills and stuff. It's
Facts.
basically like what makes me if I like it, I'm comfortable with it. That's what I like. But yeah, definitely, I'm definitely like streetwear heavy. I like I just like dressing good, man, and
Yeah,
being
yeah,
comfortable.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's what it
so
is.
how do you, SJ, how do you put an outfit together? Because this is the thing. There's plenty of people out there with bread too. There's out here, there's, rappers, people getting money, scammers, and they can't dress for nothing. like
Nah.
like all that bread's gone to waste. So how did you how were you able to put together an outfit, things like that? Because some people just don't got it. They could buy everything in the world, still make it look like trash. So how do you put together an outfit? How did you learn to do things like that?
Um, well, at the end of the day, you try to be as original as possible, but definitely, Instagram, helps and stuff like that. Like I said, like when I first started into sneakers and stuff, that wasn't really like sneakers were always like the main piece. It didn't matter really what you were. So that kind of was the origin of my how I dress and stuff. But just looking at pieces, I go to a site. I was like, oh, let me save this for later. And then when I got a shoe for that, then that's why I go match it up with the shoe and all that. Um, but yeah, man, I just practice honestly, man. Like my outfits weren't always the greatest. I had to learn how to be like not transitions not being too matchy and you know all that like all that stuff. Just being equal with it. Like being simple, but at the same time have a piece here and there that pops. With the shoe or whatever you're trying to go with.
Yeah, that's what's up. Now, I notice a lot, and I'm not as tapped into the sneaker community, I must admit. Around like 2012, 13, 14, I was more into it, but kind of got out of it.
Yeah.
But I'll notice, from your IG stories, I'll see like the Terror Squad forces. I know Fat Joe was giving away like, the Terror Squad forces to different celebrities and woo. And then I'll see like you post like a Bad Bunny collab with Adidas or something like that.
Right.
Um, all this to say, you're tapped in with the Latin market, with the Latin
For
hip hop
sure.
market,
Sure.
Spanish musicians, and this is something I'm not tuned in at all. So I'm hoping you can give me a little bit of education. Now, back when I lived in Georgia, uh, they had like, for the people who didn't have cable, they had like the little antenna joint, and
Mm-hmm.
one of the channels that we got was the Spanish MTV. So
Uh,
I would be, I would,
Telemundo.
yeah, I would be watching like they're playing nothing but like Spanish songs, and I'm like, oh, some of these songs is hot, but
Right.
but outside of that, I don't know too much Spanish music, and even now,
Mm.
like I know Bad Bunny is one of the biggest artists in the world. I do
Right.
not know none of his music. So, and,
Mm.
and you have a real love for it. I can tell. I can tell. So, can you talk about your love with and I'm trying to be as politically correct. I'm not trying to say Latin music, Spanish music,
Right.
but what's your music taste like in regards to that?
Man, so just really my music is Puerto Rico basically. I love me and I listen to everything, man. I'm not just, hooked on just reggaeton, you know, but like salsa's where like anything that that comes from PR, tap in on that support. But like hip hop too, and honestly, hip hop and reggaeton got really similar, history as in, when it first started, how it's oppressed and they were sending people to jail for playing it, and and spot. That was before my time. Um, but they're both similar, and they're both really right now always has always been tapped in, with sneakers and like in the culture and stuff. So it's always been. Now you got Bad Bunny, this mega star right now. He's really rapping for PR, but he's doing his thing with his Adidas. You had back in the day you had both I'm pretty sure you remember the G units. It was G Unit and Daddy Yankee. Those were like the first to really have like a rapper sneaker shoe out there with
Hmm.
Reebok. So it started off with that. So I just feel like Bad Bunny right now is doing that. In another like it's basically like him, Travis Scott, and all that are basically like the you know basically the Day Yankee and 50 Cent and whatever of that time. Where you're
Hmm.
seeing it all over again. History repeats itself.
Yeah. And I didn't even know. Now I knew who Daddy Yankee was, but I didn't know he had a like a sneaker with Reebok back in the day. I knew about the G Unit joints, of course, but
Yeah.
that's interesting. I gotta look up the Daddy Yankee shoes from back
Yeah.
in the day.
I still got. I mean, I got a pair of
What?
back there of the. Yeah, man. Those are really hard to find. Those and like I'm still looking for a pair of G units on eBay. They're really hard to find these days. Because the market's really weird. Like you'll see something like really cheap because like nobody's really buying them. It's like there's like specific people buying them. But yeah, man. But you look up a Reebok that Yankee, it's basically a G unit just with the DY on them and stuff. But yeah, those are the first. I'll probably say if I'm correct, that's probably the first to really have a a sneaker line like that as
Hmm.
artists.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this on the music side.
Hmm.
For somebody who's ignorant like myself, like when it comes to um, Spanish, Latin, Puerto Rican music, um, who would you recommend for somebody to get introduced into this space, this genre?
Um, if you just want to start with reggaeton stuff, honestly, man, like I always like getting introduced. Always love introducing the OGs like Daddy Yankee, Don Omar, Tego. Um, I'm pretty sure if you don't know who those are, Tego and Don Omar. They were in a couple of Fast and Furious movies. Um, but yeah, I always recommend like people like that, Hector the Father. They're all the OGs. I always recommend listening to OGs, and then once you get into that, you tap into the old school. Then keep transition to the newer stuff, and I'll say the same thing about like hip hop and any other music.
Hmm.
Always gotta pay respects to the OGs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, who do you also like when it comes to certain inspirations and things like that? Because whether it's music, fashion, photography, there's
Mm.
always an inspiration when it comes to things. So, who are some of the people whose style you kind of look up to, something that you can model yourself after?
Um, Probably say there's a few right now, but if I go back, always and he's one of my favorite artists musically too. But like Kanye's always been a huge influence on me, whether it's like music or you because that was probably one of the first him and 50 probably one of the first like hip hop albums I listened to growing up. So you know yeah, I love me some Kanye, man. You'll see on my not all the time because I kind of have some weird like transitions where sometimes I'm feeling like really colorful and stuff. Has to do with seasons too. Like you'll see me really colorful, so you get that's not really him, but when it's fall time and stuff like that, I really go like Kanye heavy and stuff, and just what he's done for like hip hop and like you know just the culture in general. Like he's just somebody I really look up to.
And outside of the Latin, the reggaeton, all of that, how about some of your favorite artists in general?
In general, man, I just love me some. Right now, probably say like I said, I always like Kanye. I
Hmm.
love me some J Cole because I'm here in Charlotte. Love me some J Cole. You know, like you said earlier, Bud Bunny is one of them. J Cole. I love me some R&B too, man. Just I like a little bit of everything, man. Listen to rock here and there too. Just I'm tapped in with everything, man. Just
Yeah.
enjoy some good quality stuff.
Hmm. Now, and this is another thing because I got to ask you this, because I only know what I can see.
Right.
The fashion, the shoes, the music. But what are some things that people may be surprised to know about you? If I didn't know you from a hole in the wall, I only followed you on Instagram, what would
Right.
people be surprised to learn about you?
Um. Well, I probably say like the biggest like I guess when if people were to see my Instagram, just like a lot of like fashion dudes, they probably think like oh sneakers or whatever. It's his whole like personality and stuff, or you know, or when I was like oh he's always taking pictures, like man like you really gotta get me like outside of work and stuff. I just like chilling in my house, just watch a good movie and stuff like that. Like I used to write a lot too, like like poetry and stuff. It's probably something like will know. But I'm honestly I'm a real like a big homebody and stuff like that. So when I go out, it's really I gotta be in the mood, you know. Especially like take pictures stuff like that. And I don't just wake up, you know. You know, it's like, oh, I want to take some pictures like every day. Like I gotta really plan it out and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
but yeah, I like traveling and stuff like that. Growing up in Orlando too. I like theme parks. I like going to to the parks out there. Not just there. Like I'll go everywhere. Like every time I get a chance to go to a new state, they got some roller coaster or something nearby. You know,
Hmm.
I like doing that. I just like the adrenaline of it. So it's probably something
I got you.
not many people know about me.
Yeah. That's what's up. I want to agree with you with one thing, like the whole taking pictures thing. Dog,
Yeah.
I hate that stuff so much. Like, I'll wear something, I'll feel like I'm like, man, I'm clean today. Woo, like or I might have went out somewhere with my wife, and then we come home and I ain't take
Right.
no pictures. But 99% of the time, I don't feel like taking no dang picture. And it's
Right.
like I posted something today with the whole Zoom and live thing to show some love to that.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't feel like it. Like the day that I took them pictures, I was
Yeah.
tired as heck, but I'm like, I'm not gonna wear this outfit again. I don't know the next time I'm gonna be going out. But
Right.
I know what you mean, because I'm a homebody myself. But one thing you did mention that I gotta go back on is poetry. Now, this is the Qool Hand Podcast. I be interviewing all sorts of rappers, artists,
Yeah.
singers. What was your poetry journey like?
Um. No, I wouldn't consider myself like a huge poet and stuff. There was a time like, especially in pandemic, I just, took from from my, because I'll say probably from like 2018 to like 2020 is probably some hard years for me. When it comes to just personal things I've been through and like family death and stuff like that, and I'll probably say some heartbreaks here and there. So I was just like anything really, like I would just write it down. I guess like just me, like a lot of people during the pandemic, they just like, okay, I'm bored. Let's let me take some of this and like record into songs or whatever. Some came out, some didn't. But yeah, I wouldn't say just like poetry specific. I just like write down, and then it started with just writing down random stuff that I was thinking. It became rhymes and rhymes. Eventually became a couple songs that I made during the pandemic and stuff, and just a good way to like take out all that their guilt or like just things you're holding on to, just let them out.
Yeah. Now, did you always have like an inclination toward writing, or did that really blossom within the pandemic?
No, I'll say I always did. It wasn't like as consistent as probably say like as the pandemic stuff. Because it really started like before. I probably started around like 2017, 18 and stuff. Like just start writing. Just so I wouldn't be angry and stuff all the time, or whatever I was feeling that day. I just like write it down to like get it out. But pandemic is what really pushed me. I was like, you know what, like I was getting to know people that that were into music or whatever, or like producing or whatever, and that kind of got me at that kind of gave me that push to get it out there and stuff and try to get it out of my system.
Mm-hmm. Where can we find them songs at?
If they're still there, I know there's still like a few of them there, but they're still like in Apple Music and stuff, and it should be there. I haven't heard them. They haven't came out my when I started like the shuffling. They haven't came out in a while, so I'm hoping it's
Yeah,
still
hold
there.
on. What's your name on Apple Music? I gotta, because we gonna listen to this afterwards.
You want me to text it to you?
Yes, please.
I got you.
Yeah, I gotta hear this. I'm looking
It's
forward to it.
yeah, it's reggaeton, like or some like Spanish hip hop and stuff. So
Yeah.
sorry you won't probably understand it, but I'll probably give you a rundown after this and let you know what it means and all that.
I got you. Yeah, because I like to hear what other people have to do, whether it's rapping, singing, poetry, drawing, and if it good or bad. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, one of the reasons why I do this is because
Mhm.
so a lot of people in our sphere don't have an outlet to share what they
Right.
do. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So just to talk about everything that you do is pretty cool to me. So um
Appreciate it, man.
let me just ask you one more thing in terms
Okay.
of like planned questions. Um, Puerto Rican cuisine, because I like to eat myself. So,
Right.
um, what was the food like in Puerto Rico? I should have asked that a little bit earlier.
You good, man. That's very. If you're pretty familiar with like Caribbean food and stuff like that, it's basically there's a lot of rice. A lot of rice, chicken, pork. It's on the seasoning, honestly, man. I'm surprised you haven't tried any. You being from Pennsylvania and stuff. Fun fact: when my mother was pregnant with me, she had a cousin that lived out there in Philly, and it was like pretty close. I was almost born in Philadelphia.
Oh, word.
But yeah, she told me it's a lot of from my scene too, it's a lot of Puerto Ricans. I don't know how it is in Pittsburgh, but
Pittsburgh,
um,
no. Philly, when
I
I
would
was
think
out,
so.
yeah,
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
I would have thought so because I know you guys are a big fan of Roberto Clemente. That's one of another big idol of mine too. Him being Puerto Rican, what he's done for like human rights and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um, so I'm surprised it's not no more Puerto Rican food out there, but yeah, man. But if you go to Philly and stuff like, I know there's a lot of Puerto Ricans in Philly. You go to Orlando, New York, you definitely try a bunch of Puerto Rican food there for
yeah.
sure.
Pittsburgh, I'll tell you this: Pittsburgh, and from my experience being born here,
Mm-hmm.
there's like refugees, but like from other places within the past
Right.
10 years. But
Mm.
it's like black, white, Jewish, and then everything else is sprinkled in between. Like
Right.
I didn't see like Brazilians, for real. I never saw Mexicans until I went down to Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
That's when I saw other cultures like that
Got
outside of like Pittsburgh, black, white, and then Jewish, and then sprinkle some Africans, sprinkle some some
Don't
Asian
forget I know
community.
you got a lot of Amish people out there too.
Oh
I
yeah,
forgot where I went in Pennsylvania. We drove by and we saw like people in the carriages and stuff. I'm like, man,
yeah, yeah. That's like out there. That's in like
right.
some super rural areas. But yeah. But all right. That's pretty much it for me. Was there any last words, any shout outs, any nobody really takes me up on this, but any sneak disses you wanted to get off? Um,
Nah, no,
anything.
no sneak disses, man. So it's all love, man. Just the only message I can say, just appreciate you again, man. I know it's been a year coming, and I'm finally glad I'm here. Y'all keep listening to this podcast. Listen to his new album in due time. Uh,
appreciate the
that thing was
appreciate the
good. It
plug.
was good. Yeah. All right, man.
But all right, SJ is in the
Yes,
building. North Carolina, Orlando, Puerto Rico.
yes,
Shout out
sir.
to you. This is the Qool Hand Podcast. Something